The most interesting fact to me is that Jews and Christians alike find people in the book so fascinating. Ms. Brooks was delighted with the story and agreed to accommodate us for what we've been able to raise in the past. Thanks to Caitlin and Geraldine.
I just wanted you to know that there's more good reading besides just the last book. Instead of a bio, I'll talk about moxie, strength, character. Here you have this nice little Catholic girl, serious childhood illness, raised in a time in society with its own brand of Kirche, Kuchen und Kinder, who nevertheless determines to lead an adventurous life and go where no man has gone before. Yes, she's a Trekkie. And identified with Spock, who is incidentally the Jewish guy.
I couldn't wait for Saturday to come, because Saturday was library day in my family. We didn't have a tremendous amount of money when I was growing up, so the library was the source of family entertainment, and my sister and I and my parents would all take the bus together, and we'd come back with an armful of books each. I was there as a reporter for the Wall Street Journal, and my beat at that time was to cover the UN, so I was there to write about what the UN was and was not doing in Sarajevo at that time. And there was only one functioning hotel in the city, and it was the somewhat inaptly named, given the circumstances, Holiday Inn. And when you checked into the Holiday Inn during the siege of Sarajevo, as you can tell from that slide, you did not want to ask for a room with a view. Because if you could see the gorgeous mountains that rise like a bowl to encircle the city, the snipers and the artillerymen on the mountain could see you, and they shelled quite heavily. But I look back now, and I know that the seeds of the novel were planted there in the Holiday Inn. People are often intrigued by how you get your ideas for a novel. And I've always loved the answer that Ernest Hemingway once gave to that question. He said, an idea for a novel can be something that you're lucky enough to overhear, or it can be the wreck of your whole damn life. Well, I always thought that old Papa Hemingway would have appreciated the fact that People of the Book was something that I overheard in a bar. And a bar in a war zone at that. So that would have, I think, gladdened his old heart. And what I heard was, at the end of the day, after some very intense and troubling reporting, reporters would gather in the bar of the Holiday Inn for a stiff drink and to compare notes. And there was no electricity in Sarajevo, the bar was lit by candles, but they always managed to find enough electricity to have ice for the scotch. They had their priorities. Anyway, this particular night, the talk turned away from intercommunal massacres and shellings and so forth to a missing work, Hebrew manuscript, the Sarajevo Haggadah, which had disappeared from the Bosnian National Museum library, and nobody knew its fate. And journalists love a good rumor, and the rumors were flying about what had become of this unique work of art. And one of them said to me, you know that book that you were so interested in, the UN is funding conservation work on it. They're getting it out of the bank vault in Sarajevo, and they've hired a conservator to come and take a look at it and fix it up. And I said, I want to go. And they said, don't be silly, it's going to be under, they've got about 10 layers of security, and it'll be under guard, and there'll be nobody in the room except the guards and the museum official and the conservator. I said, I want to go. And then I said about bringing everybody I knew at the UN. And by the end of the week, they're really sorry they knew me. And finally they said yes. But at that time I thought it would just be a chance to really see the book up close, because it had been locked away then for decades, and very, very few people had seen it. So I was delighted to be in the room when they brought this box with many, and then she opens it, and the illumination hit you, the gold leaf and the lapis lazuli and the malachite, and the colors are as fresh as the day they were painted, and suddenly you're back in medieval Spain.
How did you choose to use a butterfly wing?
Oh, the butterfly wing. So, because I was making up these fictional artifacts and I wanted to tie them back into the true history, I wanted something that would place the Haggadah at some point in the mountains, because the mosque where it was hidden in World War II was high up in an alpine village where the corporate family knew the imam of the mosque. So I'd been thinking about it and I hadn't come up with anything. And I happened to go to a lecture by an evolutionary biologist who studied blue butterflies in northwest Queensland. And it was a fantastic lecture, and in the middle of it I stopped paying attention to what she was saying and thought, maybe there's a butterfly that only exists in the alpine habitat. So I went up to her after the lecture and she said, oh sure, come with me. And so we walked across Harvard Yard over to the Museum of Natural History and into the bowels of the museum, and she took me up to the cabinets where they keep the butterfly collections, and she pulled open a drawer and there were Nabokov's butterflies with his little spidery but very careful handwriting labeling each one, because who knew he was Harvard's lepidopterist for a number of years. And in that tray was the butterfly that I needed, the Parnassius butterfly that only exists over 30,000 feet, or 3,000 feet, or whatever I needed number of feet.